On January 26, 2024, the Brevard Public Schools Book Reconsideration Committee met to review and discuss the book A Court of Thorns and Roses. The committee members, each handpicked by a Brevard School Board member, spent only 10 minutes in discussion before voting to recommend banning the book from Brevard schools. The Book Reconsideration Committee members are Michael Howell, appointed by D5 Rep. Caddy Campbell. Ashley Hall, Moms for Liberty member, appointed by D1 Rep. Megan Wright. Paul Robb, appointed by D3 Rep. Jennifer Jenkins. Katie Delaney, Moms for America member, appointed by D2 Rep. Jean Trent. Michelle Dale, absent, appointed by D4 Rep. Matt Sisson. Let's watch the January 26, 2024 Book Reconsideration meeting as the committee claims the book violates Florida statute, something that the committee is not legally able to decide. Fails to grasp that most high school seniors are 18 before they graduate. Shows their bias in allowing sexually explicit books like The Kite Runner, Slaughterhouse-Five, and sold in school libraries, but not this book. Those three books align with their religious worldview, but fantasy genre books do not, and must be banned. Claims to be able to determine the intent of the author's writing choices and knowing how it affects every reader. Claims that they get to determine what is appropriate for a public school setting.
We are here this afternoon to reconsider the book Court of Thorns and Roses by Stephen Moss. The committee's responsibility for the book being reconsidered is to make a recommendation to the board to either keep, remove, or other for Brevard Public Schools classrooms and libraries by a majority vote. I want to take this opportunity to remind the public that their role in the meeting is an observer. The audience needs to remain quiet so the committee members may be heard. Each committee member will have the opportunity to speak once each member has had his or her chance to speak and any lingering issues have been discussed. I will then call for a vote.
Yes, I just want to add, so we've shared that our audience is here to observe the process, either online or live, but then just a reminder, you're here just to observe. And if you are distracted to the process, you will be asked to leave the meeting.
Okay, so it's now time for each committee member to have his or her opportunity to speak. Would anybody like to start the conversation?
I don't mind starting. I think this one's pretty black and white for me. It violates Florida statute based on just the descriptive sexual nature of the book. It's really not, there's really no discussion I feel like I need to have over the book. It violates the Florida statute. So I would vote to remove this book.
So I agree in that it definitely violates the statute. Sexual conduct specifically calls out sadomasochistic abuse and how the court under the mountain treated Farah, posing her around in translucent garb and just the abuse she suffered, as well as the quite graphic and vivid explanation of the title, the main character's desires as well as actions with Don Court's leader. I forgot his name, but it is just a very prominent cycle with Sarah Moss and her writing. Every book we've reviewed from her has a very, very good, 9/10 of it is very good character creation and world building and plot. And then there's this one or two chapters of just, explicit material. And unfortunately, because of that choice that the author made, including that in his book, it just precluded from being included in Brevard Public School libraries.
I agree with everything you guys said. I mean, just the fact that the cover of the book must be 18 plus to read. To me, it's like, how can we have a naughty section and an adult only, section in our schools? I just feel like that's, it just doesn't belong there, in my opinion.
Good question. As Ashley mentioned, that you guys are doing sort of parallel review of some of these books. Had you guys looked at this one yet? Or
I've read it, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, but not formally. You haven't. There hasn't been a. Had you guys reviewed it formally?
We had not done in depth what we're doing it. They've read some of these, but we have a larger team beyond the two of them that are reading some of these books. So we haven't read and met to formally review this title. Just because it was so close, we knew we were getting ready to discuss it.
Just didn't know. So it's interesting. I was looking at the complaint. I mean, the PDF from Book Looks, the official source if you haven't read the book and don't want anybody else to. And it's ranked the same as the Kite Runner and the same as Slaughterhouse-5 on the 4 out of 5 fainting couches or whatever the meat marker is. It's interesting. Yeah, I was wondering what was going to happen when we got back into fantasy books, or books where somebody may have enjoyed some of the, where any of the sex is presented, possibly, and here we are. I don't know. I'm a Miller test guy. I'm going to keep going back to Taken as a whole, and when we are talking about a few scenes out of a very long book, our daughter's friends, a couple of them have read this entire series twice, and they are all very good people who have not become mindless sex zombies, as far as I know. Because that's not how books work. But, I don't know. I'm inclined, as I typically am, to let the professionals make the decision, and not amateurs like me. Specifically, not to take. I'm disinclined to take books away from other people's kids. So my vote would be to keep.
We're gonna move forward.
And just, I don't know if everybody heard,
Sorry.
you just asked me if we would be moving forward with Miss Dale not here. We will be.
I don't think it's going to move. Yeah.
I'd just like to address, yes, based off of the request, 4 out of 5 empty couches. I agree. Some of these requests are a little, in my opinion, far-fetched. Slaughterhouse-5, Kite Runner, sold, but I feel like this one it goes that step beyond. The abuse and the sexual material in those books, fade to black if they mentioned them, or it was a truly traumatic event that is described appropriately, so we get the gravity of it and can do something about it with our thoughts, with our moral compass in determining right and wrong. There's the chapter in this book where the last chapter of this book where it goes into very graphic detail of their sexual escapades is no different than the thousands of books in the early 90s with Fabio on it that are now in thrift stores everywhere. That's the type of material we're talking about. So I'd say there's a difference, and from the requests that were put in, there's no difference in alarm factor. This is held in the same regard as Kite Runner, and I disagree vehemently with that. But again, we're making a recommendation. It's not our final call. We are not experts, but we are called upon to make a recommendation.
And our prisons and institutions aren't filled with people who are there because they read the popular books. I mean,
That's the
they're silly, but is there harm?
The point is that the descriptive nature of the book and the sex scenes go beyond, they are meant to excite, they are meant to arouse the reader. They're not put there just, to expand the storyline. They are meant for that in this. So to follow statute, and even if it weren't breaking statute, like by that definition, I would still say this is inappropriate for a public school setting just because of the nature of the sex and the explicit sex scenes in this book. So that's, it doesn't matter if it doesn't affect your kids or another kid, it just is inappropriate for the public school setting. And that, for me, it's no, and I think we're backed by statute for that, for this particular title. So.
I don't really have anything more to expand on any of that. I think that we've kind of said everything that has needed to be said.
So we're ready for a vote?
I think so.
Okay.
Once each member has voted, if there's not a majority consensus, the table will open for further discussion. I will call on each committee member to give a verbal vote for recommendation on the book Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah Moss to keep, remove, or other. I want to remind the audience to maintain decorum as previously stated. Michelle's not here. Katie?
Remove.
Ashley?
Remove.
Michael?
Remove.
Paul?
Keep.
So we have 3 to remove, 1 to keep. So the committee has voted by a majority vote to make the recommendation to the board that the book Court of Thorns and Roses is to be removed.
The Brevard School Board has stacked the Book Reconsideration Committee with members who appear unable to understand their legal responsibilities and limitations, and cannot be objective in their review of books outside of their worldview. Brevard students, teachers, and staff deserve better.